Rainy Bookshop. The afternoon rain has started to fall as you make your way down the quiet village street. The drops gentle at first but growing steadily heavier, and you quicken your pace slightly when you spot the bookshop ahead, its warm lights glowing through the rain-streaked windows, like a beacon of shelter and comfort in the grey afternoon. The sign above the door reads "The Page Turner" in faded gilt letters, and through the front window you can see floor-to-ceiling shelves packed with books, a few comfortable chairs, and the soft glow of reading lamps creating pools of golden light throughout the cozy space. The rain is falling in earnest now as you reach the door, and you push it open quickly, stepping inside just as the downpour intensifies, the sound of rain on the street suddenly muffled by the closing door and replaced by the quieter patter of water against the shop's windows and the gentle creaking of old floorboards beneath your feet. A small bell mounted above the door announces your arrival with a silvery chime, and the warm, book-scented air of the shop wraps around you immediately, carrying with it that wonderful smell that only old bookshops possess, a combination of aging paper and leather bindings and dust and time itself. The shop is wonderfully cluttered in that particular way that speaks of decades of careful accumulation, rather than any conscious attempt at organization. Bookshelves line every wall from floor to ceiling, their dark wood worn smooth and slightly warped with age, and they're packed so tightly with volumes that some books are shelved horizontally on top of the vertical rows, creating a kind of literary Tetris that somehow works despite its apparent chaos. More shelves run down the center of the shop in parallel rows, creating narrow aisles that invite exploration, and every available surface holds stacks of books waiting to be shelved or recently acquired treasures that haven't yet found their permanent homes. The floor is made of wide oak planks that have been worn smooth by generations of bibliophiles, browsing and wandering, their dark surface marked here and there with the scuffs and indentations that speak of heavy furniture moved and countless footsteps taken. The boards creak pleasantly as you walk across them, each step creating its own small sound that adds to the general atmosphere of age and character. And they're covered in places with faded Persian rugs that cushion your steps and add spots of deep red and blue colour to the warm brown tones of the wood and shelves. To your right, a fireplace occupies most of one wall between two towering bookcases, and a fire burns there with cheerful energy, its flames dancing across logs that snap and pop occasionally, sending up small showers of sparks that are caught by the chimney draft and carried safely away. The mantel above the fireplace is marble, once white but now aged to a soft cream colour, and it holds an assortment of objects that seem to have accumulated there over years. A brass candlestick, a small clock with a painted face showing country scene, a pottery vase holding peacock feathers, and several small leather-bound volumes that look too precious to be shelved with the common stock. Near the fireplace, a wing-back chair upholstered in worn burgundy velvet sits at an angle that captures both the fire's warmth and the natural light from a nearby window, and beside it stands a small table holding a reading lamp with a green glass shade. The chair looks deeply comfortable, its cushions compressed in the middle from years of readers settling in with their books. and a knitted throw in shades of cream and gold is draped across its back, ready to be pulled across the lap of anyone who claims this prime reading spot. Through the shop's front windows you can see the rain falling more heavily now, streaming down the glass in rivulets and creating a blurred, dreamlike view of the street beyond. The buildings across the way are reduced to impressions of shape and colour through the rain-washed glass, and the occasional person hurrying past with an umbrella appears as little more than a moving shadow in the grey afternoon light. The sound of rain against the windows is constant but soothing, a gentle drumming that fills the shop with white noise and seems to make the interior feel even more cosy and protected by contrast. The shop appears to be empty of other customers at the moment, which isn't surprising given the weather and the late afternoon hour. Somewhere in the back you can hear the quiet sounds of someone moving about, perhaps the proprietor doing inventory or unpacking a new shipment. But they don't emerge to greet you, and you're grateful for the implicit permission to browse and settle in at your own pace without the pressure of immediate attention or the obligation of conversation. You begin to wander slowly through the aisles, running your fingers along the spines of books as you pass, reading titles and authors with the idle curiosity of someone who has no particular goal in mind, but simply enjoys being among books and seeing what treasures might reveal themselves. The shelves tower above you on both sides, creating canyons of knowledge and story that stretch from floor to ceiling, and every few feet a small rolling ladder provides access to the higher reaches, its brass wheels worn smooth and shining from decades of use. The collection is wonderfully eclectic and personal in a way that modern chain bookstores can never achieve, ranging from leather-bound classics with gilt edges and marbled end papers to humble paperbacks with cracked spines and sun-faded covers. From scholarly tomes thick enough to serve as doorstops to slim volumes of poetry that fit easily in your palm, you spot a complete set of Dickens bound in deep green leather, their spines tooled in gold, standing next to a well-thumbed field guide to British birds. Philosophy shares a shelf with gardening manuals, and ancient atlases with maps of territories that no longer exist sit beside modern travel guides to distant lands. As you browse, you notice the small handwritten cards tucked here and there among the volumes, the proprietor's notes recommending certain books, or pointing out particularly fine editions, or drawing connections between seemingly unrelated works. If you enjoyed this, try the volume 3 shelves down. One card suggests in elegant cursive, "First edition, very fine," another proclaims proudly. A personal favourite, read it every autumn. A third confides, and you find yourself charmed by these intimate communications, these glimpses into the mind and reading life of whoever has built and maintained this collection over the years. The fiction section alone occupies several tall cases, organized not alphabetically but by some mysterious system that must make sense to the proprietor, but appears delightfully random to your eyes. Jane Austen finds herself shelved between Agatha Christie and a collection of Irish folk tales. Victorian novels nestle against modern thrillers, and science fiction shares space with historical romance, without any apparent concern for categorical purity. Somehow this chaos feels exactly right for a shop like this, where the joy of discovery outweighs the efficiency of rigid organization, where the serendipity of finding unexpected treasures is valued over the convenience of knowing exactly where to look. The history section reveals similar eclecticism, with military histories standing beside biographies of obscure medieval saints, accounts of polar exploration next to studies of the Byzantine Empire, local parish histories sharing shelf space with sweeping narratives of world-changing events. You pull out a volume about lighthouse keepers of the British Isles and flip through its pages, finding it filled with photographs and first-hand accounts. Then return it carefully to its spot and continue your browsing. Near the back of the shop, you discover a section devoted entirely to the art and craft of bookmaking itself. Volumes on typography and binding, histories of publishing houses, guides to book collecting and restoration. Some of these are themselves fine examples of the bookmaker's art, with hand-marbled covers and decollage pages, and you handle them reverently, appreciating the care that went into their creation and preservation. The rain has settled into an absolutely steady rhythm now, neither increasing nor decreasing, but maintaining a constant gentle downpour that you can hear drumming on the roof above and streaming through the gutters outside and creating a rhythmic percussion against the shop's front windows. The grey light coming through those windows has taken on that particular quality that speaks of an afternoon that will likely transition directly to evening without any brightening. One of those days when the clouds are so thick and the rain so persistent that the sun never manages to break through at all. This is perfect bookshop weather, you think. The kind of afternoon that was made for browsing among old volumes, while rain falls outside and the fire burns within, with no place else you need to be, and no demands on your time except the simple pleasure of being here. You select a book from the poetry section more or less at random, choosing it because the worn leather binding feels pleasant in your hands, and the gold lettering on the spine has an appealing elegance even though some of the gilt has flaked away with age. The book is small, perhaps 6 inches tall and 4 wide, the perfect size to hold comfortably, and it has weight to it despite its size, the kind of substantial feel that comes from quality paper and solid binding. When you open it carefully, mindful of its age, you find the pages are thick and slightly yellowed at the edges, the cream colour that fine paper develops over decades, and the typeface is classic and easy on the eyes, with generous spacing between lines and wide margins that some previous owner has used occasionally to pencil in notes or mark particularly meaningful passages with delicate brackets. The title page informs you that this is a collection of poems about the natural world and the changing seasons, published in 1894 by a small press in Edinburgh. And when you flip through at random, you find yourself reading verses about autumn rain and winter fires, and the quiet pleasures of solitude and contemplation. The language is lovely, carefully chosen, and musical in its rhythms, full of imagery that brings the natural world vividly to life. Rain drumming on slate roofs, wind moving through bare branches, fires crackling in evening hearths. It seems almost impossibly appropriate for this moment, as if the book has chosen you rather than the other way around, offering itself as the perfect companion for a rainy afternoon in the bookshop. You carry the book with you as you make your way back toward the fireplace and that inviting wing-back chair, moving slowly through the aisles and pausing occasionally to examine other volumes that catch your eye, but always returning to your intended destination. The shop reveals new details with each pass. A collection of antique maps framed and hanging on one wall. A display case holding what appear to be illuminated manuscripts under glass. A section of children's books with colourful covers and well-worn pages that speak of multiple generations of young readers. When you finally reach the chair and settle into it, the sense of arriving at exactly the right place at exactly the right time is overwhelming. The chair receives you with that comfortable embrace of furniture that has been sat in thousands of times before and knows its purpose perfectly. The velvet soft against your hands, the cushions giving beneath your weight in just the right way. You sink into it with a small sigh of contentment and reach for the knitted throw that's draped across the chair's back. Pulling it across your lap and feeling its warmth and weight settle over your legs like the gentlest pressure, encouraging you to stay exactly where you are. From this position, you have a perfect view of both the fire crackling cheerfully in its stone hearth and the rain streaming down the windows in ever-changing patterns that catch and reflect the warm lamplight from within. And you can see a good portion of the shop stretching away into comfortable shadows that are broken here and there by pools of golden illumination from the strategically placed reading lamps. The main overhead lights have been left off, whether by design or habit, and the result is an atmosphere of gentle dimness that feels peaceful rather than gloomy, the kind of lighting that invites quiet contemplation rather than active engagement. The reading lamp beside your chair casts a perfect circle of warm light over your book when you arrange it open on your lap, the green glass shade directing the illumination downward and sideways in a way that highlights the pages while leaving your peripheral vision in comfortable shadow. You can feel the heat from the fireplace reaching you in waves, each pulse of warmth carrying the faint, sweet scent of burning oak, or perhaps apple wood, warming your face and hands, while the rest of you is cozy beneath the throw that covers your lap and legs. The fire has reached that perfect state where it no longer requires any attention or feeding. The logs arranged by some knowledgeable hand in such a way that they'll burn steadily for hours, without intervention, providing constant warmth and gentle light, and the occasional soft pop or hiss that adds to rather than disturbs the peaceful atmosphere. The flames create endlessly fascinating patterns as they work across the surface of the wood, never quite the same from one moment to the next, finding new path through the bark and into the grain, jumping from one log to another when the gaps narrow enough, dying down in places while flaring up in others, according to some complex dance of fuel and oxygen and heat that appears almost choreographed in its beauty. You open your book of poetry and begin to read, finding your place at the beginning of a long poem about a day spent walking in the rain-washed countryside, and the language draws you in immediately with its careful attention to detail and its music. The poet described the quality of light after rain, the way wet stones glisten, the smell of damp earth and growing things, and you find yourself nodding slightly in recognition, seeing in your mind's eye the scenes being described even as you remain perfectly comfortable in your chair by the fire. But the words on the page seem almost secondary to the general experience of being here, in this chair, in this shop, on this rainy afternoon, surrounded by books and warmth and peace. Your attention begins to drift between the printed lines and the rain on the windows. Between the carefully crafted verses on the page and the crackling of the fire, between the poet's observations about nature and your own awareness of the present moment, and this divided attention feels exactly right for the situation, as if deep concentration on any one thing would somehow be inappropriate to the gentle, diffused peace of this time and place. You read a stanza, then pause to watch the rain for a moment, then read another few lines before letting your gaze drift to the fire. And in this relaxed, wandering attention, you find a kind of meditation, the quieting of the usual busyness of thought. The shop seems to breathe around you with patient regularity, its old timbers expanding and contracting minutely, with changes in temperature and humidity that you can't consciously detect, but that the wood responds to with the sensitivity of living things, creating small creaking sounds that speak of age and character and the organic nature of wood, even after it has been cut and shaped and incorporated into a building. The shelves shift infinitesimally on their supports. The floorboards settle with soft groans in places where your weight or the heat from the fire causes them to adjust their position by the width of a hair, and the walls themselves seem to contract slightly as the day's warmth is replaced by evening's relative chill, though the fire works tirelessly to maintain the interior temperature at exactly the right level for comfort. The rain continues its steady percussion against the windows and roof. No longer the intense drumming of the afternoon's downpour, but a gentler, more persistent pattering that speaks of rain that has settled in for the long haul, that will continue through the evening and night and perhaps into tomorrow, without any dramatic changes in intensity. And somewhere beyond the immediate sounds of fire and rain, you can hear a clock ticking with patient regularity, its mechanism marking time in the measured way of things that have been doing the same task for so long that they've achieved a kind of mechanical perfection. The sound is soft enough that you have to listen for it to hear it consciously, but once you notice it, it becomes part of the rhythmic backdrop of the shop's atmosphere, adding its steady heartbeat to the percussion of the rain and the crackling of the fire. Time exists differently here in the bookshop on a rainy afternoon, you realize, stretching and softening until minutes and hours lose their usual urgency and become simply the medium through which this peaceful experience unfolds. Your eyelids are growing heavy despite the book in your lap, weighted down by warmth and comfort and the general atmosphere of deep contentment that permeates this space. The chair holds you perfectly, the fire warms you just right, and the rain provides a constant soothing backdrop that seems designed specifically to carry you toward rest. You let your eyes drift half closed, the book lying open but unread on your lap, and simply exist in this moment of perfect peace. The bookshop embraces you in its shelter, its walls standing firm against the rain, its fire burning steadily in its hearth, its very existence a testament to the quiet pleasures of reading and solitude and the simple joy of being surrounded by stories. You are safe here, completely safe, held by this old building and this comfortable chair and the general atmosphere of peace that has accumulated over decades of quiet afternoons, much like this one. Your breathing slows and deepens, falling into rhythm with the steady patter of rain against the windows, and each exhale carries away a little more tension, a little more of the outside world, A little more of everything that isn't this perfect moment of rest. The warmth from the fire has seeped into your bones, and the weight of the throw across your lap feels like a gentle pressure, encouraging you to stay exactly where you are and let the afternoon pass without any effort or concern on your part. Sleep comes gradually but inexorably, stealing over you like the rain has stolen over the village, starting gently and then deepening into something more profound, more all-encompassing. Your head tilts slightly to rest against the wing of the chair, finding the perfect angle without any conscious searching, and your hands relax completely, the book sliding slightly on your lap, but held in place by the throw. Your face grows smooth and peaceful, all the small tensions of waking life erased by the depth of your relaxation, and you sleep with the quiet contentment of someone who is exactly where they need to be. The rain continues to fall, the fire continues to burn, and you continue to sleep cradled by the old bookshop and its peaceful atmosphere, held safe while the afternoon deepens into evening outside and the world beyond the windows grows gradually darker. Rest deeply, sleep peacefully. Let the rain be your lullaby and the bookshop be your shelter. You are safe here, completely safe, and can rest without any worry or concern. Hours pass in this deep sleep, time measured not by the clock on the mantel but by the slow transformation of the fire from active flames to glowing embers, by the gradual darkening of the light outside as afternoon gives way to evening, by the steady accumulation of rain in the street gutters and the puddles that form on the cobblestones beyond the shop windows. The rain itself remains constant, neither increasing nor decreasing, but maintaining its gentle, steady fall, the kind of rain that looks like it could continue for days, soaking deep into the earth and filling every stream and pond until the whole countryside glistens with moisture. Inside the bookshop, nothing changes with the passing hours except the quality of light, which shifts gradually from the grey daylight filtering through rain-washed windows to the warmer glow of the lamps and fire as the proprietor quietly makes their rounds, turning up wicks and adding another log to the hearth before disappearing again into the back rooms. These small ministrations happen so gently that they don't disturb your sleep at all, just become part of the general atmosphere of care and comfort that permeates this space. Your sleep has descended to profound depths now, those levels where consciousness disappears entirely, and there is only the vast peaceful darkness of true rest. Your breathing has become so slow and deep that each breath seems to last forever, your chest rising gradually and falling just as gradually, the pause between breaths stretching longer than would seem possible in waking life. Your heartbeat has slowed to its resting rhythm, steady and strong, requiring no attention or direction, just performing its eternal task with quiet efficiency. The chair continues to hold you perfectly, its velvet cushions warmed by your body, its wings sheltering you from any draft that might disturb your rest. The throw across your lap has shifted slightly during your sleep, pulled higher by some unconscious adjustment, and now it covers you more completely, from your waist nearly to your chin, creating a cocoon of warmth that holds the heat close to your body. The book has slipped from your lap entirely and lies on the floor beside the chair, its pages open to a poem about dreams and sleep and the peace that comes with letting go. The bookshop seems to participate in your rest, its own ancient rhythm slowing to match yours. The shelves stand in patient silence. There are thousands of volumes waiting for readers who will come tomorrow or next week or next year in no hurry, content to exist as repositories of stories and knowledge and the accumulated wisdom of generations. The floorboards settle with soft creaks that speak of wood responding to temperature and humidity, performing the slow dance of expansion and contraction that all old buildings know. The very air seems to have thickened and slowed, holding stillness the way it holds the scent of old paper and wood smoke. Outside, the village street has emptied as people hurry home before full darkness falls, and the few who pass the bookshop windows now walk quickly with heads down and collars turned up against the rain. Through the rain-blurred glass, they appear as indistinct shapes, shadows moving through the grey light, and none of them pause to look into the warm interior where you sleep in your chair by the fire. The world outside has its own concerns and business, but you are separate from all that now, existing in this bubble of peace and warmth that the bookshop provides. The rain has taken on a different sound as evening deepens, or perhaps your sleeping mind simply perceives it differently. It seems softer somehow, more musical, no longer a constant drumming, but a gentle pattering that varies in rhythm and intensity as the wind shifts and gusts, sometimes driving the rain harder against the windows, and other times easing to little more than a whisper. The gutters gurgle quietly with the runoff, and somewhere a downspout drips steadily, adding its own counterpoint to the symphony of water sounds that fills the background of the evening. Your face in sleep is utterly peaceful, smooth and relaxed in a way that waking faces rarely achieve. Your jaw is slack, your lips slightly parted, your breathing flowing easily without the slightest catch or hesitation. Your eyelids are completely still, not even the faintest flicker of movement beneath them to suggest dreams or mental activity of any kind. Just the deep stillness of profound unconsciousness. Even the small muscles around your eyes have released their grip, and the lines that form there in waking life have softened and nearly disappeared. The fire is burned lower now, the flames mostly gone and replaced by a bed of coals that glow with intense internal heat, their surfaces covered in white ash beneath which the wood burns red and steady. The light it casts is subtler than before, more orange than yellow, more glow than flicker, and it creates gentler shadows that shift less dramatically across the walls and shelves. But the heat remains strong and constant, radiating outward from the hearth and maintaining the bookshop at exactly the right temperature for deep rest. As the night deepens toward its middle hours, the rain begins to ease very slightly, the downpour moderating to a steady rain, and the steady rain moderating to a gentle fall. The change is so gradual that it would be difficult to pinpoint exactly when it happened, but the overall sound has softened, and the windows no longer stream quite so heavily with water. The storm is passing or pausing, giving way to something gentler, though the wetness will continue through the night and into tomorrow. But you sleep on, undisturbed by these subtle changes, taking all the rest your body and mind need in this perfect sanctuary. Your sleep has cycled through its various stages multiple times now, descending into the deepest levels and then rising slightly to lighter stages before descending again, each cycle leaving you more rested and restored. This is what sleep is truly for, this deep work of maintenance and renewal that can only happen when you surrender completely to rest and trust in your body's ancient wisdom. The Bookshop holds you through these hours with the patient care it has provided to countless readers before you, its walls standing firm against the rain, its fire burning steadily in its hearth, its very existence a testament to the quiet pleasures of books and solitude and the simple joy of being surrounded by stories. You are one in a long line of people who have found refuge here, who have spent rainy afternoons browsing among the shelves and dozing by the fire, and the shop seems to recognize this, to embrace you as it has embraced them all, offering its shelter and peace without condition or demand. The hours continue their patient progression, marked only by the slow transformation of the fire to ash, the gradual easing of the rain, the steady cycles of your breathing. The proprietor has long since locked the front door and turned off the main lights, leaving only a few lamps burning low and the firelight to illuminate the shop. And they've gone upstairs to their own rest, content to let you sleep in your chair by the hearth for as long as you need. This is the kind of bookshop you might realize if you are awake to consider it, where such things are understood and accepted, where sleep among the books is seen not as an intrusion, but as a natural extension of the peace that reading brings. Your sleep begins to lighten as the night moves toward its later hours, rising gradually from the profound depths toward those lighter stages where dreams might come if they choose to. But no dreams disturb your rest tonight, just a gentle floating in that peaceful space between deep unconsciousness and the first stirrings of waking awareness. You're not yet ready to wake, not yet willing to leave the comfort of this chair and this fire and this perfect peace. And so you drift in this twilight space, neither fully asleep nor beginning to wake, but suspended somewhere peacefully between. The rain has eased to little more than a drizzle now, barely audible against the windows, and through the gaps in the clouds the moon appears occasionally, sending pale silver light across the wet street and the glistening rooftops. Morning is still hours away, but the night has passed its darkest point and begun its slow climb toward dawn. Though you'll likely wake before that transformation is complete, ready to step out into a world that has been washed clean by the rain and revealed fresh and new. But that is still to come. For now there is only this, only sleep in this perfect shelter, only the deep rest that comes from being exactly where you need to be at exactly the right time. The bookshop keeps its quiet watch, the fire glows in its hearth, and you sleep on in peace and comfort and complete safety. Rest now, sleep deeply, let the remaining hours of night hold you gently. The bookshop will shelter you until morning, and when you wake it will be naturally and gently, ready to greet a new day after a night of perfect rest in this sanctuary of stories. Sleep.